Okay. I think we're live again. I know. I'm going live so often. If you're getting a lot of notifications and I'm annoying the heck out of you, maybe turn them off and just come check in because we're doing a lot of cool stuff all the time. And now I'm trying to document it. So, welcome to the feed. We're going to be looking at something kind of cool tonight, I should say, and let's just jump right in. Say you've done a spherical rendering, be it in Chief Architect, be it in Thea Render, maybe you did it in Twinmotion, maybe you did it in Lumion. Tons of different platforms that do spherical renderings. This has been around for a long time now. I've been doing this for a long time now, and sometimes these renderings come in and they don't look the way you want them to, and you want to edit them. And how do you have to edit them? Well, you could edit it like this, which is challenging because we've got a bunch of curves and this, elemental things going on here that make it a sphere. This particular rendering came out really nice from Chief Architect, I must say. And something that's nice about it is that the composition kind of allows me to see some things that I want to see and be able to edit them in this view. But we're going to show you how to edit this outside of this view as well in kind of a 3D workspace, which unfortunately Adobe says is going to go away. So we're going to have to figure out a new workflow. But for now, let me just show you how I edit in this view. Now, first up, I'm going to throw in a couple of little tweaks here. I want to bring up maybe the warmth just on this shot a little bit. I know that I want to bring up the clarity, which is going to give us more of like an HDR image feel. I might bring up the texture, which is just going to give us, part of the problem with these spherical renderings, you can't render them at a high enough resolution. Like it'll take forever. Sometimes you have to, but bringing up that texture level can help out in just creating definition in your spherical rendering. I could do some color grading. I could do some other things. This is not going to be my final image. And I say that because I'm going to end up exporting at a much higher resolution. This image right here is an 8K resolution image. So let's just get all the details out of this image. Again, it's created in Chief Architect. And I'm going to click Open. That's a camera raw before it imports. We did a couple edits. Click Open, and then I bring it in here. Now I'm going to do a couple of extra edits here before I send it to a 3D workspace in Photoshop. The main edit I want to do is with this wine cabinet, which we're going to do another video next week about this particular edit, but since we're here, let's just do it right now. You can see here, and granted, this is a Facebook stream, so what I see is even going to be a little bit better definition than what you see because Facebook is compressing this video. So our video bit rate is compressing the image you see. So what I see on my screen is going to be better looking than what you see on your screen. And we'll get to that. But for now, I've got a typical Photoshop image here that I can edit. I can add a layer, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to fake some lights, and I'm going to fake a window in front of this wine cooler. And that's not that I couldn't do it in Chief. I could have spent a lot of extra time doing it in Chief, making this be a true, photogrammy. What's that called? The photo analysis, where we've actually got true 3D lights, and they did what they were supposed to do in this shot. Then I wouldn't have to do any edits after the fact. But fact of the matter is, it's faster for me to do it this way. So I just saved it for the post edit. I didn't bother spending any time in my software. I knew I was going to post edit and get the job done a lot quicker. So I've got a brush here. It's called the can light brush. Why is that? Well, if we size it up, we're going to see, look, it paints a can light like an IES profile. It's not perfect. I could make it better if I wanted to, but for now, it works pretty well. I'm on a new layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to splash this once, right? I'm just going to splash this down at the bottom of the screen right here, just there. And then I'm going to change the layer type here until I get to something that I like, which is probably going to be overlay. There we go. Overlay or soft light. I actually like overlay because we retain the color in those cabinets, right? So there we go. I'm going to just splash this just like I want to see it here. We just got a little bit of brightness on this section here. Right? Pretty cool, right? I'm going to flip this brush around and Do the same thing on this side. Give that effect. I'm going to start to bring this cabinet to life, if you will. I could do some edits where I go through and do a light brush kind of on the actual bottles themselves. Maybe we won't take all that time right now to do that. Another thing I want to do is I'm going to get back to my main layer. We'll just do a selection here, and I'm going to select this range right here, and then within there I'm going to make a color adjustment, replace color, or I could have done any number of things. I think the replace color works the best here for what I'm trying to do, is I want to bring the saturation up on these items, make them pop a little bit, make them look like they're a little bit more lit up, right? Something like that. You know, and there's a lot of grain here because the resolution's not high enough. So that's an issue I'm just going to have to battle. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. So bringing this saturation up just a little bit, maybe bring it down a little bit. You can tweak on this stuff forever. Maybe bring that level down, that lightness level down, bring the saturation up a little bit more. Really just, you know, you got to find your middle ground here. And that's all I'm going to do. Then I'm going to back out. I'm going to do something kind of fun here. And that is that I'm going to make a new selection marquee, and I'm going to grab something maybe over here. Maybe I'll grab part of this countertop, maybe part of this right here. Control J duplicates that, okay? And then I'm going to bring that over to my section here. I'm going to bring it up a layer, and let's modify it. Let's modify it to fit within this windowed section. And if you haven't guessed what I'm doing right now, I'm creating a reflection. And I don't really care what the reflection is, to tell you the truth, because you're not going to care either. Then I'm going to change the type here down to, let's see. Well, let's commit this. Let's commit the size change first, and then we can change our type maybe to, there we go. Look at that soft light. Look at what that does. Right, so we can turn that on, off, on, off. Look at that. That's starting to look pretty good, I think. So, what else do we have to edit? Well, there's a few things we can do. Let's, while we're still here, I'll tell you as much as you can edit in this view is going to save you some hassle in the next view, and there's some reasons why. And it's hard to preface that without just showing you. So, let me make a few more edits here. We'll make one more new layer, and I could name these, but I don't think that I'm going to save this workflow. We'll see. Make this just a white light, and all I'm doing here is just giving a nice little bulb fuzz here to all these lights. Just giving this like almost like an atmospheric haze or a bloom effect. I just wanted these to be a little fuzzy. And we can adjust it down with our layer properties. You can also see I'm really not focused on getting this dead on. I'm not using my pen tablet right now, so we're just using a mouse, which can get a little inaccurate. But there we go. Those edits seem simple. We could do some other edits where we can get that can light texture, that can light brush back here, and maybe one more new layer. Bring that in, and I can do some just finite stuff here where I can either lower the effect of my brush, the opacity right here is what I just did. I changed the opacity, and maybe it's interesting to get some of these. I just hit the 2 key to change that opacity to 20%, which means I could click it a couple times if I need to. Yeah, just some edits like this, and we can just show what this looks like. I think that's a little aggressive, so maybe we'll change the overall opacity and bring that all back down. And then there we go. Let's stop this portion of it. Let's get into what you really came here for, which was let's make some edits in 3D. So I'm going to select all these layers over here on my layer stack on the right hand side. And then in 3D, Spherical Panorama, new panorama layer from selected layers. Here we go. I don't want to switch to the 3D workspace. I like the Essentials workspace, so we're going to keep it like this. Now we get to see what this image looks like in 3D. And you can see it's pixelated, very pixelated. It's going to look a little bit better when we get it to where we want to host this image. And so something we can do as we rotate around, the rotation is a little wonky. I'm not the best at it, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, look at this. I'm goofing up all over the place. Just trying to get my bearings, rotate this around. There we go. Kind of getting the idea here. So, from here, what do I want to do? Right? What edit do I want to do? Maybe we want to fix a couple of things that I see. You know, who knows? We can do some on-the-fly edits, but here's what I want to show you, is that we can make an on-the-fly edit that will work and commit the change in 2D. So we're editing in 3D, but we can commit a change in 2D. So maybe there's something like, we can't use our healing brush. That doesn't work. I don't think it works. Let's try it. Does this work? Does this get rid of this little black spot right there? Let's check it out. Looks like it just left the black spot. Make the brush bigger. What happens if we use our healing brush on that whole section there? Doesn't look like it did anything, right? Yeah, so all that did was overlay in some way. Nothing interesting. But what we can do is bring in an asset. Check this out. Let's go into my materials. Let's go into, by the way, we're kind of just working through this together. I'm live. Some goofy stuff happens. I don't always have all the answers. So let's look at this. In assets, what do I have? Maybe I have something funny we can throw in here. Pipe cylinders, plants. Maybe we can just throw a plant in somewhere. Let's do that. Let's throw a plant in here somewhere. Look at that big image. Scale him down. And even though we're in a 3D space, you can see here, we've just got a 2D image in here, right? So where do you want your plant? Maybe we'll put him over here in the corner, just kind of stuffed out of the side, and he's growing out of the countertop. Let's try that. So before we go too far, I'm going to go back into this 3D section here and change to navigate. It's a little easier to navigate. It's a lot faster to navigate when you're zoomed out on this, by the way. So I want to navigate so that I'm almost squared up with this, and this will make a lot more sense that way. Okay. So I'm almost squared up with this. Now I can take that plant. Let's grab him. Let's bring him over here. Maybe we want a pot base too, but you know what? I'm not too worried about it. Let's resize this again. I'm holding the shift key to resize it uniformly. And I'm just going to stick it right there. Something like that. And now let's do a couple edits on it. Okay. So let's just do a curves adjustment. Bring this down, kind of give it that shadowed effect, right? It feels like it's coming in from over here. Sure, and we'll add maybe an exposure and brush this exposure in, right? Like this, like 5 key exposure. What's our exposure going to be? It's going to be a brighter exposure. And we're going to clip it to this layer. Oops. Hit the wrong key. Clip it to that layer. And then invert our mask. And then flip my white to black there. And then I'm just drawing on a little bit of stuff here. This really doesn't matter. I'm just showing you that you can do all your typical edits in Photoshop in this. We'll get to the point, I swear. Now, I want to add a clipping mask to this, and I'm going to change my brush hardness to 100% hard, and I'm going to change opacity to 100% opaque, and then I'm going to just draw this out so that it's behind this cabinet. Okay, so it's just floating in this cabinet. And so here is the trick part. How do we get this committed here? Well, one more thing I want to do. Let's group these. Let's make a new group. And we could turn it into a smart object if we wanted to. And now I can fuzzy this up. Let's just blur this. Gaussian blur. Not that much, just a little bit. Just to match the existing scene, right? That's all we're doing. We're blending it. We're making it look like that plant was always there. We didn't render that plant in, so it shouldn't be there, but it is. Let's give it a little bit of noise. And my thought is that what we're seeing in this 3D preview, it's actually not quite this blurry in actuality. So I want to kick this Gaussian blur down just a little bit. There we go. So we'll leave that plant just a little bit sharp. So here's the next thing. And it's simple. Right click, merge down. And it disappeared. I actually don't know why. I actually don't know why it disappeared. Let's try that again. Let's do this. Let's select both of these. Or actually, let me rasterize this first. Maybe that's an issue. I don't know why that disappeared. That's hilarious. Okay. Right click, merge down. Okay, so that did work. And look how fuzzy that ended up being. So now, if I want to get back to that base image, here it is. And look, we've got a plant in the base image. Isn't that wild? So let's just export this. We're just going to deal with it. It's not perfect. I know we've got some edits we could have fixed. We can just pick this last layer. I can Control Shift Alt E, make this new layer, Control Shift Alt W, export this guy. We can leave it on excellent or great, sure, why not? 8,000 resolution. Let's export this and let's take it into that folder. That was Project 3 under renderings. And my naming convention's all over the map here. Don't judge me. I know I need to fix it. Like I said, I make mistakes. I do. And let's bring this over to a service that I pay for. We could edit the EXIF information on this image so that we can load it into Facebook and that it would automatically know that this is a 3D image. But I will say that this workflow is a lot easier for me. We're going to sign in to a service I pay for and do a new upload. Single image. And this service is fantastic, and it's just seamless and it's easy and it's super quick for me to get to a check rendering, right? To see what I actually have going on here. See how it turned out. Look at that. Look how good that looks. That looks fantastic. Right? Yes, it's blurry. We should export it at a higher resolution, but that looks pretty good. And then we already knew that this plant wasn't going to look right. But the fact that it's there, we added something that wasn't in this rendering, and it's there, should kind of open your mind a little bit on this, that we can fix things that are too difficult to fix in Chief Architect or your modeling software or your rendering software. We could fix things in Photoshop quite easily. Like maybe I want, a shadow gap here underneath the siding, or maybe I want to change this grate to match the color of the wood floor, right? So we can edit this. And then you send this to your phone and you've got gyro enabled and you've got overlays and you can create a tour. That's pretty dynamic, pretty cool. Cool piece of media, right? So that's all I was going to do. That's all I was going to show you on this particular one. I guess we can go in and look at, I promised this. I promised that we were going to do this next week, but you know what? We've started it. Let's go there now. Let me just show you what I did with the wine cabinet here, how that was even created in the first place. We'll fire up Chief Architect and take a look. We're going to wait for a second, and while we do, I guess I'll fill the air. I love it that people are coming in and engaging with me. I do. It's so fun. I know I keep mentioning it if you've seen other videos, but people are coming in, checking the feed out, talking to me, hitting me up with ideas, hitting me up with mentions, hitting me up with questions. It's awesome. I love it. I love being a part of the community. So you have questions? Am I bringing up something that you're super curious about? I get a lot of people telling me that this stuff's over their head, ask me a pointed question, a specific question, and I can help you figure out what we're talking about here, what we're getting into here. So here we go. This is that scene. I will say it's super important when you're doing these spherical renderings to save your cameras. Make sure you save your cameras. That way, when you find an error, because it takes a long time to process these things, when you find an error, you can come back and re-render. And we might get into some really advanced stuff where I start talking about material ID masks and object masks, and segmented renders, right, where we're just rendering a particular portion of a project, or rendering a small window that you need and then form fitting it in Photoshop to your spherical rendering. So if we found out that we had one little error in here, we could go fix that. We could fix that by just rendering a small portion and then bringing it into Photoshop. Believe it or not, that works. So, and I've got methods for that. And sometimes you have to do that, especially when you get into some huge projects that take a lot of management in layers, take a lot of management in phases. So, all right, let's check this out. Now, I didn't take this cabinet to as far as I would have liked to take it. I will say that right off the bat. But we're going to take a look at what this cabinet is built from. And we can see here, in 3D, just in Chief, it looks nice. It looks very nice, right? This is a cabinet. If we open it up, but here's the difference. Here's what I would have liked to do differently is I want to add my wine bottles into this. I want my wine bottles to be in this. I actually placed my wine bottles. That was dumb. Took me too long. And I would have to do that again for the next time I did this same cabinet. I'd rather have these wine bottles already on the shelf. And if we're going to take the time to do all that work, we might as well take the time to add some labels, right? Because then we've really got a great dynamic thing we can use time and time again. So let's talk about how I did this. Let's do a new file. And let's bring in, I'm going to take this off this user filtered. We'll look for a wine fridge. We're going to grab from a wine fridge. Now, I've shown you guys before in some other one of these feeds how to delete certain segments of a symbol to reuse them. I could take this symbol, export it, and take it into like your SketchUp and then do edits. But actually, Chief can edit things pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. So, actually don't want to be in perspective full overview mode. I want to get into this camera mode, right? Just our full camera. Not a full floor camera, full camera, right? In fact, I don't even think they offer the floor camera in your toolbars anymore. You have to go search for it. And so I'm going to turn on perspective crop mode. That means I can get in real tight if I need to. And then I'm going to edit this symbol first. And I've talked about this before. I don't know how to relink to it, but let's just open the symbol up. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pump this smoothing angle up to something like 140. It's going to make that really easy for me to delete certain parts of this. And all I was trying to do with this is get to the shelves. That's it. I just want to get to the shelves. Once I get to these shelves, then I can turn them into a Chief Architect shelf. So there's a little bit of time here, a little time investment, but look how quick this is. I feel like it couldn't go any faster. I mean, this is flying, right? And just do this little span around. If you've got, a 3D connection mouse like I do, it's real easy to just float around this thing, take a look. Let me turn off that rendering mode so we don't have any more lag. But before I do, tools. Here we go. Tools, symbol, convert to symbol. Very, very simple. And this is going to be a millwork item. We're going to call this wine shelf, wine tray, wine drawer, maybe wine drawer. Okay, wine drawer 1. Let's call it that. And it's going to become millwork. That's very important. This has to be a millwork item. Okay, that way we can use it as a shelf. We can use it as a shelf in Chief. Okay, so add to library. Let's show advanced options. Let's take a look. See what we get from advanced options. So here we go. we're going to keep the offset the way it is and test it first, and then we might need to modify that, right? I like to do the guess and check. I don't like to commit everything to memory. This is one of those things I guess and check. I can never remember if I need to offset this. I don't think that I need to. So that's it. And then sizing, I might want to throw in some sizing planes in here. That one's fine. Our depth plane, we could bump this up to 10 inches, something like that. Or negative 10 inches, excuse me. And then our width plane can leave on 0. Actually, no, I don't want to leave that on 0. Because this is going to get resized across the width, right? So we could do our copy this here, paste it here, divide by 3. What do we get? There we go, perfect, right? Copy that, paste it here, negative. Perfect, perfect stretch planes, done. So now what do we get? That shows up in our library. And let's kind of put this into practice, see what happens, see what we do with this item, right? So there's our wine drawer. And look what pops back up. This guy pops back up. And that's because Chief rebuilt 3D. So if I use my delete surface tool and I delete a bunch of items, okay, and then I hit F5, which rebuilds 3D, what's going to happen? It's going to come back. Or it's not going to do what I said, and I'm wrong. But making a few edits, like jumping off of this view, coming back to it, will definitely bring this back into place. Or it could be wrong again. Oh man, I'm just getting proven wrong left and right. Well, how about this? Third time's a charm. Delete it, undo. There we go. There's some way to rebuild it. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. So, upper cabinet. Let's throw this, or not an upper cabinet, full height cabinet. We're going to throw this full height cabinet in here. And we're going to do a couple mods to it so we can see. Let's open it up. Let's get into door drawer. Let's go frame doors, glass doors. Perfect. Now we can see. We can change that to just the single door if we like. There we go. And then in this section, let's, and we'll show this open so we can see. Let's specify our shelves. Here we go, manual shelves. Well, let's just say all shelves are, you guessed it, wine drawer number 1. Wine drawer number 1, we can even say that we roll these out, right? So, say they roll out 70%, something like that. Equal spacing, sure, we'll leave it. Check that out. Check how simple that is. We've got kind of a dynamic wine cabinet, right? And then adjust your frame, adjust your door, adjust all that stuff. That's simple enough. Maybe you want to build out a thicker door if you do in fact want to show it open in 3D, but we don't need to. We can just leave it like this. Look how sharp that is. Then you can change materials on the inside, start to fashion this to look exactly like your particular wine cabinet. I mean, you notice here, the one that I did over here, I spaced it, you know, particular spacing. I converted several of these shelves. The last bit of this is back in our new plan, we can place this millwork arbitrarily. And then let's go grab some wine bottles. Wine bottles. Wine bottle. Should have been just wine bottle. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I turned the music up on the channel a little bit louder. It's very repetitive. Sorry about that. It's just royalty-free music. Until I build a full playlist of royalty-free music, you guys can suffer. And hopefully this channel is never annoying. I'm guessing it could be. So, place the wine bottle. What are we doing now? I'm converting to working in 3D. I love working in 3D, so I'm constantly in the 3D space trying to do things that are a lot easier to do in 2D. But sometimes it's easier to do it in 3D. One of which is, I feel like it's easier to do this, rotate that symbol in 3D. I find to be very easy. So here we go. I'm gonna drop this guy in. We could get really specific about its height compared to this if we were to go into elevation, but I just kind of want to illustrate this, right? I'm not too worried about its exact height. I know, job built on specificity, and I'm not being very specific. But let's bring this guy over a little bit, and then let's copy him. Control-Alt-C, drag him over. There, we've got a copy. I'm going to click on the bottom of this bottle if I can target that. Maybe not. It's not going to let me. Let's try it this way. I'm going to click on the top of this bottle. There we go. Now I can rotate this guy just a little bit, right? And maybe now I can apply color coding. Just like that. Here's the only issue is if we want to make this bottle correct, we'd make it so that the label would be separate from this top cap, right? So how could we do that? Well, you guessed it. Same exact method we just used to create that shelf. This stuff's quick too. Look how quick this is. When you really learn this program, getting to navigate this program, knowing what you need to do. Okay, so same thing, delete surface tool. This is already a pretty well rounded out bottle, so I feel like we can just do ding, ding, ding. What am I doing? What was the plan of attack here? We're just getting this cap separate from everything else? Kind of. So, tools, convert to symbol. Convert to symbol. There we go. Wine cap. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be a fixture because we're going to redo this anyways. I didn't even need to click advanced options. That didn't make sense. Didn't need it. Oh, look, we left that little bottle rim at the very bottom there. Let's redo that. Because that'll be nice. Nice to redo that. Maybe also, what else could we do? We could put a plain... I mean, if we did bring this into SketchUp, we could put liquid inside the bottle. That would have been cool. Right? Okay, so let's try this again. We're going to do wine cap V2. Make sure I delete everything this time. There we go. Missed that last little bit there on the previous one. Tools, convert, symbol. Okay, wine cap, yes. Add to library, no advanced options. There we go. Did I do it again? How am I missing this? I did not do that again. Huh. I keep missing one little spot, don't I? Oh no, no I didn't. There it is right there. We've got lag because I've got this PBR camera going, I think. Also maybe because we've got this huge, massive Photoshop thing going here. Let's close this out. Not too interested in this file. Nope. See ya. Okay, so let's turn this to a regular render mode. Let's make sure nothing's hogging my resources. And let me check in on you guys. Anybody messaging me? No. No comments. It's fine. Fine. Whatever. Whatever, guys. No comments. Okay. So, back to this. Let's put that wine cap in there. The one that's correct. Yeah, this one. Okay. Oh, I don't need it yet. What are we doing? Here. Think this through. Now what are we doing? We're deleting this. Delete the wine cap. Boom. Done. Tools. Symbol. Convert to symbol. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. And then place it. Let's place this cap. Okay, the good cap. Let's delete that one. Place the good cap. Right? We can center it. I'm going to just use my mouse for that. Oh, that was the reflect button. There, center. And center again. And then we're probably going to have to adjust height. Yep, we are. Because why? Let's just make this 0 inches to top. that should solve the issue right there. Doesn't matter. There we go. Right? And then color code. Aha. And boom. Now we have a better. Did I just yell in your ear, man? Now we had a better. This cannot generate through. Would you like to convert the entire scene to a symbol instead? Yes, I would. Here we go. So furnishings, interior, white wine bottle. Guess what I get to do? I get to say it's mine. I feel like I get to say it's mine. Substantially edited white wine bottle. There we are. And you know what? Let's lay it down. Why not? So we could have edited this like this. What do we want to do? Rotate like this? Yes. We're not going to resize this thing. Let's leave it. There we are. Oh, should have regenerated in our 2D block. Generate block. I don't want fill on it. Well, I want to see right through it. Okay. Bring it back in here. Let's see what we've got. Now we can do something like get into Chief's like patterns maybe, or maybe art. So where is Chief's materials? Artwork. I feel like some of the old paintings, something like that. I mean, we can go find labels. And that way you can actually paint your label on here. That would be cool, right? But now we've got this look going on. This looks good. Dupe this over a few times. I don't even know what our range is. What is it? 3. It's been a while since I've designed anything with wine. Yeah, I nailed that. Thank you. Super pro status. Rotate a couple of these. Because what are we doing? We're setting this up for life. We're going to set this up for life, which means we need a bunch of different artwork here to kind of set these all apart, right? You can change these later as you need to. Do that extra mile thing. Go that extra distance. That way, this always looks good. And maybe we'll move, I don't know, 2 of these over. Something like that. Right? Now what do we get for this whole symbol? Now we get a new drawer. Check this out. So, now let's see. Do these need to raise up at all? They're sitting right? Yeah, they're sitting right. Select this. One more symbol. Here we go. What does it have to be? Millwork. Grabs wine drawer with wine. Bam. So that if we open this up, does this change? Do we get to do this? Let's see. User catalog. Grabs wine drawer with wine. I don't think it will replace shelves as you just click in here, but it's quick and easy anyways. Let's do this. Select our door area, change our shelves, library with wine. Bam. And we could do spacing from previous and make it, I don't know, 1 inch, something like that, just to get that effect going. Oh, and look at this silly thing that I did. You know why this is? This is a simple error. This needs, Chief is oriented so that front facing is facing upwards. So I needed to do this. But that's okay, we can edit this in place. Right click, open symbol, get into our 3D, rotate it twice. There we go. Now we've got it. Right? I think we've got it. Let's try it. And actually, I don't want to show them open. I'm not going to show anything open. So, shelves, library, grabs drawer with wine. You can even see in the preview window, they're oriented correctly now. Close the door. Just take a look. Let's build some walls around this so we see what this looks like with some proper lighting and a PBR. right click, continuous draw mode for this. Maybe we'll drop in a window or two. Yeah. And throw on a PBR. And what does this start to look like? I mean, it just starts looking good. You know, what do we need? Aluminum texture or something like that. If you really wanted to make this look right? Maybe it's aluminum on the interior instead of that wood, right? Starting to look exactly like what it should look like. So, same process, by the way, for these upper trays. You can steal these upper trays. Also, once you steal them, you can change the orientation of, you can see here, we've got an issue with the grain going the wrong way, or improve on it, use a different texture. I know that I have some, I have some good wood textures, like if I go to my user only catalog, got some good maple textures, we've got good live edge textures. If I actually go into my materials catalog, I don't know about good renders. This is it. This is the process. Let's do the room. Shake the room. And we could, edit the color out from there if we wanted to. Or, I always like my wood blender texture. I need to use the turned one. And then we just have to scale this appropriately. Scale it way down. So, something like that. And then it starts looking pretty sharp. So there we go. I feel like we went over a lot of cool stuff in this one. So I hope you catch this one. And if you did, please come comment, come say anything to me, talk to me. I'd love to know. How cool was this spherical rendering from Chief? I can't think of a lot of great looking spherical renderings I've seen produced from Chief. So this already is impressive. I'm actually going to go render this out at a much higher resolution. But maybe not this project. This project has a bunch of unfinished rooms. You really need to make sure that you've finished all angles because you get to see all angles, right? So, could have done a better job on this staircase. I don't even know what's going on here. This is not my design, so we're just taking a look at this as a service kind of a thing. I might just post this just to show this client that this is their project in 3D. But another great thing about the coolest service versus Facebook service is we can change our initial zoom settings, which when you back that zoom way down, this starts to look a lot more realistic, doesn't it? That field of view changes. It looks a lot more realistic. So when you're doing your spherical renderings, I'd say knock your field of view way down in Chief when you're doing them, when you're setting them up. So we can do some level correction if we wanted to here. Alignment stuff, we can up the sharpness to kind of just fake some detail. Sometimes that, adds some desirable effects. You can try doing tone mapping, although I find that it adds a lot of fade that I don't want. You can add a filter to it, right? Do some stuff like this, little filters on there. That's an automatic bloom. You can do light flare effects, stuff like that. You can embed this in your website, which is super cool. So a lot of cool features, and you can do point-to-point tours where I can put a little node here that when you click on it, it takes you to this room's spherical rendering. So, oh man, look at that. I'm so happy with this. I hope you caught all the methods used to just bring this alive because it was very little effort to make a very good looking cabinet. Anyways, that's it for the live stream here. I'm going to be posting this on typical channels. Guys, thanks again.